Hi guys, I'm Nick and this is our first look at the new Leica Q. This new Leica Q is a 24 megapixel full-frame compact camera with a fixed 28mm lens, a stunning 1.7 Samilux. The body is all aluminium and magnesium, weighs almost 700 grams, but the grip is really good and really comfortable to hold in hand. This Leica Q has a large 1 million points 3-inch display and a 3.6 megapixel electronic viewfinder, which I think is the best electronic viewfinder in the mirrorless market as today. We have no optical viewfinder, but this EVF is super responsive and always ready in all lighting conditions, so responsive that I even had to set the sensitivity to low, which is not even possible in other cameras. You can turn off display or EVF to save battery, although the battery is kinda good. It lasts about 6 hours in standby mode and I took about 500 pictures before it died. The flash is also missing, but I don't really care cause I never using camera flash, and because this camera is so great at high ISO, at 6400 ISO you almost get no noise. But the real masterpiece of this camera is the lens, a 28mm autofocus stabilized 1.7 Samilux, so bright. An impressive autofocus, fast, even in the darkest condition it never misses a shot. And it's the fastest as today in the mirrorless compact market. Not a picture I made came out of focus as soon as I pressed the shutter button halfway, focus was already set. Really fast. And I have to say, the stabilizer helps a lot. I managed to get picture at 1/10 of a second with no sign of blur. See, this lens is really awesome. The bokeh at 1.7 is stunning. Sharp as hell, you never feel the need to go to f2 or f2.8 for more sharpness. As you can see, behind the beautiful metal lens hood, we have the aperture ring in increments of 0.3 stops and the focus ring. On AF is obviously in autofocus and you can unlock pressing this little button on this tab, that is really handy when focusing. And when you use the manual focus, camera zoom in live view and viewfinder for accurate focusing. With focus peaking colored in red, white and other colors that show the in-focus areas. We also have here on the lens the guidelines for the depth of field at various apertures, which are really helpful when focusing. Last, we have the macro mode on this lens and switch on turning the last ring. The Leica Q has a minimum focus distance of 12 inches, becoming 6.7 inches in macro mode. See how the focusing guidelines changes as we switch to macro. This, along with the focusing tab or the space for the thumb, makes us realize this camera is especially designed for photography enthusiasts. This 28mm lens is almost magical, seems like a telephoto cause of the bokeh at 1.7. The Leica Q has a leaf shutter, so it produces an excellent bokeh, especially from 1,000 of a second to 2,000 of a second, but that's its limit. It can go faster than that, so Leica has introduced an electronic shutter that reaches a 16,000 of a second and allows us to take pictures at 1.7 even in the brightest days. Shutter time that we can set with this ring here at the top, where we can set a time of our choosing, or letting A to use the aperture priority mode. And if we set on 1+, we can increase the shutter time with this other ring and get up to 30 seconds or bob mode for long exposures. This ring is also used for exposure compensation if we are in aperture mode or shutter priority, and this is really handy to use. Well, fine, I know what you're thinking. A fixed 28mm lens on a camera like this isn't a limitation, isn't kinda wasted. Many of you would rather have a 35mm or a 50mm lens, but let me tell you, I travel a lot with just one camera. The Fuji X100S is my to-go camera. And I fell in love with this 28mm lens. This wide angle allows me so many composition styles. By the way, Leica introduced an in-camera crop system. Pressing this little button over here, we can shoot 35 and 50mm crop images. This crop mode helps you compose in the final image. By shooting JPEG, you'll have a 15-megapixel image when using the 35mm crop and an 8-megapixel image when using the 50mm crop. This crop is applied both to JPEG and RAW files, but for the RAW files, it's a non-destructive crop, as you can remove that later in Lightroom or Camera Raw or any editing software you use. The JPEG is cropped forever, so be careful using this mode. Display is a touch screen, so we can use it to scroll through the images, enlarge them, and move around the picture. We can quickly change other settings with the touch screen like ISO, exposure compensation, white balance, and so on. Touchscreen that we can also use to focus and shoot as in smartphones. I just have to touch the display and the camera focus and shoot by itself. It's great when you cannot reach the viewfinder, and I use this mode a lot in these days I'm trying the camera. Cause sometimes when I'm on the streets, I tend to shoot people without being seen. So this is a great way to not get noticed, just walk around and click on the display. But if you want to switch from a focus mode like this to another one, you have to go through the menus and select it. It's kinda annoying. But we do have an FN key which can be used to quickly change the white balance and other function. Well, I'd like changing even the focus mode with this FN key, without going through the menus every time. So, if anyone at Leica is watching this, you really should put this feature in an update. We can quickly change ISO setting with the relative button instead. We can go up to 50,000 ISO. As I mentioned before, images are a blast at 6400 ISO, and up to 12,000 ISO the grain is really beautiful. Even at 50,000 ISO, black and white images are really good. If you do not believe me, I'll leave a download link in the video description so you can download the original ENGs and make your observations. The menus contains many customizable settings such as user profiles, bracketing with 3 stops variations, time-lapse. You can select how many pictures you want, the shutter speed, and let the camera do it by itself. We do have an option to save images in JPEG and JPEG plus RAW, but we don't have an option to only save in RAW files. I think it's because of the smartphone application. With the downloadable app, you can send JPEG straight from your camera, and I guess you need JPEG on camera for that. But maybe an update will add the only RAW function and prove me I'm wrong. So this camera includes Wi-Fi and NFC to connect Android or iOS devices. We do have the Leica Q app both on Play Store and App Store, which lets you remotely control the camera, backup files and send us JPEG to smartphones or tablets. A flap to the side hides the USB exit to connect the camera to your computer and HDMI to connect to your TV. Bottom we do have the battery and the memory card slot, as well as the tripod mount. The power on ring surround the shutter button, and we can put the camera to a single shot or burst, and that will let us take up to 10 images per second. We have the video mode button next, and well, let me tell you, it's a camera designed to take pictures. It's a Leica. Do not expect a Sony A7 video mode. The Leica Q can record Full HD at 60 frames per second, but from what I could tell you, the video starts in auto mode, and we have no control over the shutter speed or aperture. We only can adjust exposure compensation. This can change with a future update introducing manual controls, and even the 4K recording can be unlocked, because the processor is the Maestro 2, the one that will feature in the new Leica's medium format camera. Now, the point, the price. The list price is €3,995. Just €5 under 4,000, and some of you will think that this is a very expensive camera. Actually, if you think about it, this is a Leica, and this is a first Leica compact camera with a 28mm autofocus stabilized Samilux f1.7 lens and a full-frame 24-megapixel body. Keep in mind that the less expensive Leica's digital camera, the ME, is priced €5,000 body only and does not allow autofocus nor stabilization. So this €4,000 Leica Q, which allows you to have a very solid body, seems solid like a rock, capable of withstanding any impacts. It has an outstanding 1.7 lens, has almost all the features that one would expect from a digital camera, insane image quality and dynamic range. Well, the price is more than justified. Indeed, I would not recommend this camera for those who prefer a zoom lens, or those who don't like a wide-angle fixed lens. Meanwhile, for those like me, who travels a lot, with just one camera body and one lens doing street and editorial photography, this is the perfect camera. If you cannot make it to cover the price of this Leica Q, you can go for a Sony RX1. €1,000 less, but you'll not have a viewfinder nor a 28mm Samilux 1.7. It has a wonderful 35mm Zeiss f2 that, despite being a very good lens, is not good as this Samilux. Or you can even go with the cheapest Fujifilm X100 series, as I have. The new one costs around €1,000, but it has an APS-C sensor. So, after all, this Leica Q, in my opinion, is the best digital compact camera on the market. It has the best viewfinder, it has the best sensor, it has the best lens. Guys, if you can afford this camera, go with it and you'll never regret. Che video recensione sarebbe senza una foto di un gatto?
E un cane.
Trovate.